What kind of place demands you change your name before you walk in the door? Here's the thing, you can call it the melting pot if you want, but I am going to side-eye you. The melting pot's a cute little way to say assimilate or fucking die, right? European immigrants came to the United States, and there was already a social hierarchy here, right? The social hierarchy was this: if you are white, you are better than everyone else. How did they know that? Well, legally, right? Black Americans were subjugated. They were Africans at the time because they were stolen from the land, and then they were subjugated based on race and perpetuity. There were miscegenation laws throughout the country. There were little wins, tiny little wins for white folks to let them know that they were societally better. But, all of this ties back into this big lie where the powers that be that created this hierarchy, right? The plantation owners, the colonizers who came here originally invited white Europeans, or they saw them as white Europeans came and they saw themselves as Polish immigrants. They saw themselves as Hungarian immigrants, as Italian immigrants, as Irish immigrants, as German, English, French immigrants, right? But they got to this country and immediately before they even get off the fucking island, they changed their name. What kind of place demands you change your name before you walk in the door? Like, unbelievable to me. Because how could that possibly be a place where an American dream is? That's another lie we're going to talk about. Oh, welcome. Welcome to American Lies. My name's Amy. I'm your host. We're talking about the lies taught to white Americans, told to white Americans, passed down consciously or subconsciously that keep us separate from our black and brown brothers and sisters. Why do we need to talk about this? Because it's the way that they control us. Every single time in U.S. history that we have gotten together, the reaction has been swift. You can look no further than 1969 when the Rainbow Coalition was started with Fred Hampton, right? Started in late spring. Fred Hampton is murdered by the state as an enemy of the state by December 4th, 1969. And it is because he got the Young Lords, the Young Patriots, the American Indian Movement, the Students for a Democratic Society, the Brown Berets, and so many other groups together. He crossed racial lines. And Big Daddy government said, no, thank you. That scares us, right? They said it's not what colorway you are. It's up versus down. The up is stealing from us, and they are making sure that we can never have any upward mobility. And he knew that then, right? And within 10 months, the Chicago PD, in cahoots with the FBI, murders him. We can go further back in time, right? If you want to go back to the labor movements, we can look at the industrial workers of the world, the IWW, who allowed every man and woman in. It was a very diverse group of people. They believed that every worker that existed deserved to have rights. Government slapped them with hundreds of lawsuits, put them into so much debt and disarray that they couldn't ever recover, and it worked. It fucking worked. We can go back further if you would like to Bacon's Rebellion in the 1600s, where free black men and indentured European servants got together and created a multicultural movement. And yes, it was to drive indigenous people out, but the resulting aspects of it from the colonial government of the Commonwealth of Virginia was the first miscegenation laws. Oh, those two groups can never fucking mix because they challenge the status quo. So we have to talk about the melting pot because the melting pot is the reason why we're here today. And the melting pot is a very cute fucking way to say assimilate or fucking die, right? Europeans came to this country and they said, hey, you could fit in. We would let you fit in. We might not kill you. Maybe. No promises, right? Because we know that Sicilians were lynched. We know that Germans were lynched. We know that Jewish people were lynched. So they said, hey, change your name first because it's complicated and we hate it, right? Change the way that you dress. The language you speak should be English, and you should probably try to drop that accent. You sound like a foreigner. We don't like foreigners here. You're an American now, right? Oh, and the food you make, it smells funny, so chill out on that, please. Forcing conformity while calling it the melting pot, which didn't pick up, by the way, until 1908. There was a play called The Melting Pot, but forcing conformity and forcing individuality and ripping people apart from their identifying factors, be it their language, their culture, their religion, their homelands, forced people into an individualistic society. And Alexis de Tocqueville nails it in his 2-volume On Democracy. He came to the United States in 1831. Yours truly, me, I had to read that in the original French because I was a French major in college for the majority of my career. Didn't graduate with a French major. We'll talk about that another time. He nails it. This is what he says. This is a direct quote. Each person withdrawn into himself behaves as though he is a stranger to the destiny of all the others. His children and his good friends constitute for him the whole of the human species. As for his transaction with fellow citizens, he may mix among them, but he sees them not, he touches them, but he feels them not. He exists only in himself and for himself alone. De Tocqueville actually calls out loneliness as a manufactured way of life, right? And this only becomes more and more exacerbated as we get into the 20th century, as cars are invented, as we spread out throughout this country through manifest destiny, right? Again, a cute term for genocide and displacing hundreds of thousands of people. Things we've never really atoned for, by the way, you know. And after hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of demanding that European immigrants come to the United States and call themselves American and strip themselves of every identifying factor without any sort of American culture other than apple pie in rape, murder, genocide, and war, Alexis de Tocqueville actually predicts exactly where we land. Soft despotism. He says, how does a despot come to control a democracy? He maps it out perfectly. He says, they'll slowly but surely take over, take little bits and pieces away from you, time over time, year over year. And that's exactly what's happened in this country. And if you think we're the most free country in the world, I beg you to travel while they still allow us to. You know? But after hundreds and hundreds of years of people having no identity, community, no culture, no way to even build it, right? Because you have to breed that out of everyone to make sure that they fit in the United States so they literally don't get murdered. These white Americans are so fucking ready. We white Americans are ready, right? We're all subjected to it. Many of us were ready to pick up the mantle of Make America Great Again because this man gave them an identity, a purpose, a community. And Make America Great Again. Was truly the most predictable thing in the world, and that's how Alexis de Tocqueville got it. 100, almost 200 years before today, right? He came here in 1831. It's 2026. There's also a lot to be said about fascism and how it preys on a weak host, right? Which is what the United States is. Our democratic systems were already eroding. They were being eroded. And it's important to understand that, right? It's important to understand that fascism doesn't come about when we have a strong middle class, when people have community and they have identity. And for a while there, we thought we might make it through without hitting our fair share of the fascism. The trick is that we already hit it. We United States, we American folks like to call fascism. We like to point the finger at Europe. It's Germany. It's Italy. Some people will say Spain or even Portugal at the end of its imperial decline, right? Where'd they get the idea from? Where'd they get the idea from? From us. They didn't invent the wheel of how to subjugate people based on race and perpetuity with their Nuremberg laws. No, they translated it from Virginia's miscegenation laws, from other parts of the South. The Germans thought that the one drop rule was too complicated. Too complicated. So they said, hey, if you have one Jewish grandparent, You're Jewish enough for us. Yeah, the American version of authoritarianism that comes down in Jim Crow is too complicated for the Nazis. So this melting pot myth is one of the ways that white America has been harmed, being forced into this box, being forced to reduce themselves, not to learn, love, and speak their languages and their culture and pass it down to their children, rather to shove themselves in a box to fit in. And it's why so many white Americans are listless. They're identityless. They don't know how to build community. They've never been taught. We know that white women live in competition. That's part of this structure of white supremacy that we live under. And none of us are immune to it. Any of us could get caught up in it at any moment. So learn your heritage, build your community, find your identity other than being white. What are you? Who are you? What does it mean to have your place on earth, and what does it mean when you leave? What's the goal? What's the plan? And we'll be back. We're doing this every Friday. This is called American Lies. Again, these are lies taught and told and passed down to us consciously or subconsciously because the powers that be, the wealthy, the uber wealthy, the government, they seek to control us. And when we work together and when we cross racial lines, we are more powerful than ever, but we have to get there. And whatever's happening in our country at some point will fall apart and we will be able to build the thing that we want. And I would like something that everybody has the opportunity for the American dream, that the middle class is really strong, that we have regulations on companies so that they pay their workers enough to eat, so that we can all afford homes and we have enough homes, and we're making sure every city and town across the country has fresh water and fast internet and good food. And our food comes from our country. We have enough farmland in Arkansas to feed the entire United States. That's what I want. I want a place where nobody loses their civil liberties ever, and where racism isn't tolerated, and misogyny and sexism isn't tolerated, and violence against women and children isn't tolerated. There's an American dream that isn't realized, and to understand it, we have to understand the American lies.